Hello, my name is Stan Love. I'm a NASA astronaut. I apologize that I don't speak or understand any Greek. I have some German and Russian, but unfortunately no Greek. I've been an astronaut since 1998. I flew in 2008 on the space shuttle Atlantis. Our crew spent 2 weeks in space, and we brought to the International Space Station the European Space Agency's laboratory module called Columbus. So we attached that module to the space station. Our crew did 3 spacewalks, of which I did 2. I was also the robot arm operator for the shuttle and the station. When we had the laboratory module installed, we brought home 1 space station crew member, left on station 1 of our crew members for him to begin his time in space, and then came back to Florida and landed. I'm very happy and honored to be here at your university and to visit Crete. This is not a place that NASA gets to very much. And we always look forward to going to new places, and especially in a university, and a technical university where people are learning to be scientists and engineers, to let them know that there is room in space for all kinds of people. And I grew up in a town called Eugene, Oregon in the United States, which is pretty far from anything. And it's about the same size as Chania, and it has about the same population as Chania. And I went to school and learned a technical subject and eventually became an astronaut. So part of my message for the people here is you are in the right place if you want to make a career in space. It takes all kinds of people to make a space station happen. I know that Greece is a full member of the European Space Agency. There's a lot of great stuff going on in ESA. ESA collaborates with NASA. NASA and ESA are collaborating with countries all over the world to expand the human presence in space. And then, of course, we have satellites observing the Earth and robotic spacecraft going out into the solar system to understand the amazing world we live in and the amazing universe we live in. It's worth thinking that you may see a picture of Kennedy Space Station or Kennedy Space Center in the United States and say, "Oh, that's pretty close to space." Well, you are just as close to space in Crete as you are at Kennedy Space Center. Let's see. So NASA has collaborations all over the world, of course, mostly in the United States because we're funded by the United States taxpayers. But there are all kinds of agreements between NASA and various universities. NASA also contracts with companies, although almost strictly in the United States because that's the purpose of the agency. To develop new ideas and a satellite-based early warning for disasters, I presume, or for understanding the effects of climate change. Those are things that NASA is already working on, and we would be happy to exchange ideas with you on anything like that. Yeah. So the general question is easier. I've often heard it said that if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. That is, in order to control what's happening in our environment, because we're changing it right now without control. It's just happening, and we don't mean to have it happen that way. But we have to be able to measure what's going on before we can manage it. And measuring something like climate change takes both weather stations all over the world, little local taking measurements of temperature, humidity, rainfall, all over the world, but you also need the big picture, and that's where satellites can help. Then also for things like wildfires, I know that's been a problem in Europe this summer. It's a problem where I come from. Oregon grows a lot of timber, trees to make into wood for building houses and so forth, and wildfires are a terrible problem there. And having a view of the Earth that's always on, always receiving data, can make it easier to find those things. The first thing to remember is that every euro spent developing space is spent on Earth. You know, we don't send rockets full of money out into space. all the Yeah. So all that, all the money that's spent on space development is spent on Earth. It goes to aerospace companies, it goes to workers, it goes, in the United States, NASA gives many grants to researchers, scientists, colleges, and universities. Everything that we know about the Earth as a planet, and everything that we know about the planets of our solar system, and everything that we know about the universe came from space funding. Without that funding, we would have none of that knowledge and none of that understanding. We might never have found out that there was a hole in our ozone layer, which was discovered by a couple of researchers at a university who were actually studying the planet Venus when they discovered that we had a problem with our ozone layer. Now, that's a problem we've been able to solve because we knew about it. And that was a tiny little research grant. So the next question is, if we spent the vast sums of money that we have spent on space development on Earth, would it make a difference? And the answer is actually not much. NASA has a vanishingly small fraction of the United States budget. 1/2 of 1% of the federal budget of the United States goes to NASA. And people have no idea. If you ask them, hey, how much of the federal budget do you think NASA gets? They say, oh, probably about 1/3. No, 1/2 of 1%. And if you took that 1/2 of 1% and spread it out through all the other programs, it would be lost. Nobody would notice a difference. So to me, the value in knowledge, the value in inspiration, right? Kids in school think space is cool, and then they go on to study physics, engineering, they come up with great inventions, and maybe they figure out how to explore the universe, both with robots and with people, and then all the amazing knowledge we have about how our world works, what other planets are like, how big is the universe? Huge question. And we find all that out, and we gain that knowledge, and that, to me, it's comforting, actually, to know what our universe is and how big it is and where it came from. And we get all that and all that inspiration that comes with it for 1/2 of 1% of the government's budget. So first of all, when will we see a Greek astronaut? ESA makes that decision. I think we have a Danish astronaut up there now. So we've had plenty of French and German, and you know, they're the big rich countries. So be patient, we will get there. And I look forward to seeing that. And to me, actually, the more countries that are involved in space and have their own citizens fly and can come back and tell their countrymen about it in their own language, the better. Space has the effect of making us feel like one family as human beings on Earth rather than being divided into countries. And that's an experience that almost all astronauts come back and report. Seeing the Earth as one thing and not just my little country and everybody else is them and we don't like them. You know, it's very easy to fall into that, but having the big view changes that. And so to me, the more people who see that, the better our chances for getting along better with each other on Earth. I'm not sure why the cosmonauts aren't coming anymore. I don't make those decisions. And the astronauts so my flight was a short flight in space. The cosmonauts used to spend 6 months or a year on the Salyut and Mir stations, and they had a lot of work to do to get their bodies back into shape being under gravity again. It took a long time. On the space station now, we're there for 6 months, and there are really good exercise machines. We have a weightlifting machine. Of course, lifting weights in space is pointless because, you know, you can lift a car with your finger, but it uses a cylinder of compressed air, and you push against that and pull against that. And people are coming back pretty strong, so you don't need to spend a long time on vacation to get your body back. So our astronauts come back and they don't go to Crete, they go to the gym.